The Viridian Alliance arrived without warning. One moment, Earth's skies were clear. The next, 7 crystalline ships hung in low orbit, their hulls refracting sunlight into prismatic patterns across major cities worldwide. Captain Maya Chen stood with her squad on the rain-slicked tarmac of the joint military base, watching the recruitment video for the 3rd time. The holographic Viridian ambassador, copper-skinned with 4 graceful arms, gestured to images of advanced medical technology, unlimited clean energy, and defense systems capable of deflecting asteroids. In exchange for these gifts, the ambassador explained, we require military assistance against an enemy that threatens all sentient life in this sector. They're not telling us everything, Maya murmured, studying her squad's reactions. Raj Kumar, their tech specialist, nodded in agreement while adjusting his glasses. Their body language shifts whenever they mention these void entities, classic deception indicators. Elena Vasquez cracked her knuckles, her compact frame containing the force of a coiled spring. Since when do advanced civilizations need human cannon fodder? Since Earth's government's already signed the agreement, Connor O'Neill replied, his sniper's eyes never leaving the hologram. Word is they didn't give our leaders much choice. Takashi Yamamoto, the squad medic, remained silent, methodically repacking his medical kit. A nervous habit when processing difficult information. The briefing officer, a harried colonel with dark circles under his eyes, approached their group. Captain Chen, your squad has been selected for the first deployment. 20 minutes to gather personal effects. 1 bag each. Sir, what exactly are we fighting? Maya asked. The colonel's expression tightened. Above my clearance level, Captain. All I know is your squad's psychological profiles matched what they're looking for. He lowered his voice. Between us, I pack anything that keeps morale up. Long voyage ahead. 90 minutes later, Maya's squad stood in the cavernous docking bay of the Asterisk, Stellar Conviction Asterisk, a Viridian carrier ship that dwarfed Earth's largest aircraft carriers. Hundreds of human soldiers lined up in neat rows, looking small and fragile against the crystalline architecture. Commander Zel Tarek surveyed them with 4 golden eyes that blinked in unsynchronized patterns. He stood nearly 8 feet tall, his secondary arms clasped behind his back, while his primary arms held what appeared to be a command tablet. Your species has much to offer, he announced, his voice translated through small devices attached to each human's color. Your endurance and adaptive thinking will complement our technological superiority against the void entities. Maya noticed the slight hesitation before void entities, the same Telraj had pointed out earlier. You will be provided with accommodations suitable for your physiological needs, Zel Tarek continued. Training begins tomorrow at first shift. Until then, remain in your assigned quarters. As a junior Viridian officer led them through winding corridors, Maya catalogued everything: junction points, access panels, the subtle directional markings etched into the walls. The quarters turned out to be a repurposed cargo bay with hastily installed partition walls, creating small, cell-like rooms. This is it, Elena whispered as they stowed their bags. For a 3-month journey. Raj examined the sparse furnishings, 6 bunks, a sanitation unit, and nothing else. No entertainment systems, no training equipment, not even a table for meals. Captain, he said quietly, I don't think they understand humans very well. Maya nodded, a slow smile forming. And that might be our advantage. She gathered her squad in a tight circle. Listen up. Something's not right with this mission, but we're committed now. Our priority is looking after our people and getting everyone home safe. She paused, looking each squad member in the eye. "And in the meantime, we're going to need to find ways to keep busy." Connor grinned, patting his bag. "Got a deck of cards and a set of dice." 3 paperback novels, Takashi added. "Portable chess set, from Raj." Elena unzipped her bag just enough to reveal the edge of what looked suspiciously like exercise bands and a disassembled pull-up bar. Maya nodded approvingly. Good start. Because if there's one thing more dangerous than a trained human soldier, it's a bored one with nothing to lose. Outside their quarters, the massive ship hummed to life, breaking orbit and accelerating toward deep space, carrying its cargo of increasingly restless humans into the unknown. By the end of the first week aboard the Stellar Conviction, Maya's squad had established a routine. 6 hours of Viridian weapons training, 6 hours of sleep, and 12 hours of absolutely nothing scheduled. The humans were expected to remain in their quarters during non-training periods, with minimal access to ship facilities. "This is worse than basic training," Elena muttered, performing her 200th push-up on the cold metallic floor. At least there we had obstacle courses. Raj sat cross-legged in the corner, meticulously disassembling his bunk's lighting fixture. The Viridians don't seem to grasp the concept of downtime. Connor dealt another hand of cards to Takashi, who had barely spoken since their 3rd day in space. "Hey, Doc. You still with us?" "I'm calculating how long before someone snaps," Takashi replied, arranging his cards. "Humans aren't designed for sensory deprivation. 2 more weeks like this, and we'll see incidents." Maya entered their shared quarters, returning from her daily officer's briefing with Commander Sel Tarek. Her expression told them everything before she spoke. "Request for recreational facilities denied again," she reported. Sel Tarek said, and I quote, "Viridian soldiers maintain focus without diversions for years if necessary." "We're not Viridians," Reg said, holding up a small device cobbled together from light components and what appeared to be parts of his toothbrush. "But we are resourceful." "What is that?" Maya asked, both concerned and impressed. "Short-range scanner. Picks up power fluctuations through walls." Reg grinned. "There's an auxiliary system behind this bulkhead. Maintenance access likely nearby." Maya should have reported this immediately. Instead, she found herself asking, how nearby? 2 days later, Connor discovered the access panel hidden beneath floor plating near the sanitation unit. It led to a narrow maintenance corridor that ran the length of the human quarters section. By the end of the 2nd week, they had mapped 3 interconnected maintenance tunnels and found an abandoned storage compartment perfect for their needs. Word spread quietly among the human contingent. Equipment began disappearing from training sessions. Nothing critical, just small components, tools, bits of wire and metal that would never be missed individually. Each piece found its way to the storage compartment, now dubbed the hub by the growing number of humans in on the secret. Elena established a workout area using cargo straps as resistance bands. Reg and a group of engineers constructed a rudimentary communications system to allow humans to coordinate without using official channels. Connor organized tournaments, cards, dice games, even a makeshift dartboard created from scrap material. "This isn't just recreation," Maya explained when a junior lieutenant questioned the risk. "It's maintaining combat readiness, mental sharpness." By the beginning of the 3rd week, the hub had expanded to include 3 connected compartments. Off-duty humans cycled through in carefully timed shifts. Someone had even managed to repurpose a maintenance terminal, giving them limited access to ship schematics. It was during the third week that Maya realized the true scope of human ingenuity. Takashi had been collecting food samples from their daily rations, analyzing the composition, and somehow, Maya didn't ask how, creating a fermentation process. "Tastes terrible," he admitted, offering her a sample of the clear liquid. "But it works." That same day, Rage pulled her aside during training, whispering, "Captain, we found something odd in the schematics. The ship's not on the course they briefed us for. We're heading toward an unmarked system, and there's a massive energy signature in the cargo hold that doesn't match any weapon system they've shown us." Maya looked across the training room at Commander Exaltaric, who was observing the humans with what passed for satisfaction in Viridian expressions. He had no idea that his bored, underestimated cargo had already compromised ship security, created an unauthorized recreation facility, and uncovered his mission's most closely guarded secret. "Keep monitoring," she instructed Raj quietly. "And make sure everyone in the hub understands. We're not just killing time anymore. We're gathering intelligence." The stellar conviction pushed onward through deep space, its Viridian crew blissfully unaware that with each passing day of enforced idleness, their human conscripts were becoming more organized, more resourceful, and more dangerous. 1 month into the voyage, the first alarm bells rang through the Viridian command structure. Junior Officer Velzin discovered human footprints in a supposedly restricted engineering section, footprints that couldn't be matched to any authorized access records. Commander Exaltaric summoned Maya to his command chamber, a hexagonal room with walls displaying real-time ship operations. His secondary arms twitched with agitation, while his primary arms manipulated holographic security feeds. "Explain this," he demanded, projecting an image of muddy boot prints near a tertiary power junction. Maya maintained a neutral expression. "I can't, Commander. My soldiers are confined to quarters when not in training." Yet human genetic material was found in 17 unauthorized locations in the past week alone. Exaltaric's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of suspicion in Viridian body language. "Security systems detect no breaches." "Perhaps your systems aren't calibrated for humans," Maya suggested. The commander glared. "Quarters inspections begin tomorrow. Curfew protocols now in effect. Any human found outside designated areas will face immediate discipline." That night, Maya followed Connor through their discovered access panel, determined to understand the full extent of what our people had created. The maintenance corridor they'd initially found now featured subtle markings, color-coded strips of wire that only someone looking for them would notice. Connor led her deeper into the ship's infrastructure than she previously ventured. They passed junction points where other humans nodded respectfully before continuing their journeys through the hidden network. After 20 minutes of crawling, climbing, and squeezing through narrow gaps, they emerged into a space that left Maya speechless. What had once been 3 connected storage compartments had expanded into an elaborate complex spanning an entire unused maintenance level. Nearly 100 off-duty humans engaged in various activities across the space. A boxing ring fashioned from cargo strapping and padding. A climbing wall created from rearranged storage shelving. Tables where engineers modified equipment salvaged from waste disposal units. "We call it Freedom Deck now," Connor explained with undisguised pride. The hub was just the beginning. A sergeant from another squad approached. "Captain Chen, we weren't expecting you tonight." Clearly, Maya replied, still processing the scope of the operation. "The commander is implementing inspections and curfews." "How did this get so big without my knowledge?" "Respectfully, Captain, we needed plausible deniability for the officers," the sergeant explained. Every squad contributed. We've mapped nearly 40% of the ship's maintenance network. Elena appeared from a side passage. Captain, you need to see this. She led Maya to a quiet corner where Reich sat with a cluster of technical specialists around a modified display terminal. On the screen, strange energy signatures pulsed within ship schematics. We've been monitoring power fluctuations, Reg explained. There's something massive in the secured hold, drawing enough energy to power a small city, and its activation sequence initiated 3 days ago. Timeline matches our course deviation, added a communications specialist. We're not heading to the front lines. We're going somewhere else entirely. Maya studied the data, pieces falling into place. Have we had any contact with other human transport ships? The room went quiet. Elena spoke first. That's the thing, Captain. According to transmissions we've intercepted, 3 other human-carrying ships reported critical malfunctions in the past month, all listed as accidents. But you don't think they were accidents, Maya stated, already knowing the answer. Raj shook his head. The pattern suggests deliberate sabotage. Something's happening, and humans are somehow central to it. Maya surveyed the elaborate installation the Bort soldiers had created, not just recreation, but an intelligence operation that had uncovered what the Viridians had been desperate to hide. We need to accelerate our preparations, she decided. And I need to find someone on the Viridian crew who might actually tell us the truth. Maya identified Junior Science Officer Velnara as her best chance for answers. Unlike other Viridians, Velnara had shown genuine curiosity about humans, often lingering after training sessions to observe their interactions. Your species communicates so differently from ours, Velnara had commented once. So much information in your facial expressions alone. After morning training, Maya approached the 4-armed scientist. Officer Velnara, I'd like to discuss some concerns about human adaptation to ship conditions. The Viridian's secondary arms made a gesture Maya had learned indicated interest. Commander Xel Tarek instructed minimal interaction outside training, but scientific observation falls within my duties. They met in Velnara's laboratory, a space filled with biological samples and monitoring equipment. Maya noted with interest that several screens displayed human vital signs and sleep patterns. You've been studying us, Maya observed. Your species fascinates me, Velnara admitted. Viridians require minimal environmental stimulation. We expected humans would function similarly. We don't, Maya stated flatly, making a calculated risk. She produced a data chip Raj had prepared. This contains evidence that the * stellar conviction * isn't heading to the coordinates in our mission briefing. Velnara's 4 eyes widened, all blinking simultaneously, a sign of shock. Where did you obtain this information? Let's just say confined humans find creative ways to pass time. The scientist inserted the chip into a reader, examining the data. This is troubling. Most crew members believe we're heading to the Nilari front to combat void entity incursions. But we're not, Maya pressed. Velnara's copper skin darkened, the Viridian equivalent of a flush. No, our destination is the Maral Nebula. It contains unusual energy formations the High Command wishes to study. Study with a weapon that could collapse a star. The scientist's secondary arms drooped, a sign of distress or resignation. You know about the stellar compression device. How? Bort soldiers with engineering degrees get creative. Maya leaned forward. What are the void entities, really? Velnara hesitated before answering. Not enemies. They're ancient energy beings native to this sector. They opposed our expansion because they foresaw exactly this outcome: weapons development that could threaten their existence. Over the next week, an unlikely alliance formed. Velnara began visiting the human quarters officially to monitor adaptation, but actually to exchange information. Curious junior Viridians accompanied her, initially maintaining distance, but gradually engaging with the humans. In Freedom Deck, hidden from Command's view, the first interspecies poker tournament took place. Humans taught Viridians card games, while learning about Viridian culture and technology. Some Viridians proved surprisingly adaptable, particularly enjoying games of chance and physical competitions, modified for their four-armed physiology. They're not so different from us, Rage observed, watching a Viridian engineer attempt to replicate a house of cards. Just raised in a rigid system that discourages creativity. Meanwhile, Maya's squad continued gathering intelligence. Takashi established a medical exchange program, learning about Viridian physiology while sharing human medical techniques. This provided access to more areas of the ship and built trust with the medical staff. Elena and Connor trained a small group of humans in covert movement through the ship's maintenance network, expanding their intelligence-gathering capabilities. The ship's true purpose became clear. The stellar compression device wasn't designed just to eliminate void entities, but to collapse their home nebula entirely, regardless of any innocent civilizations caught in its range. Most concerning was the revelation from Velnara about the other human-carrying ships. They're not reinforcements, she confirmed grimly. They're test runs. High Command is evaluating human adaptability to different crisis scenarios. For what purpose? Moya asked. The device requires specific coordinates synchronized from multiple points. Humans are to be stationed at these points. Velnara's four eyes conveyed genuine regret. Your people were never meant to return from this mission. Maya processed this information, watching the off-duty humans interacting with their new Viridian allies in Freedom Deck. What had begun as a way to fight boredom had evolved into something potentially revolutionary, and perhaps the only hope for preventing a genocide and saving both their species from becoming pawns in someone else's war. 2 months into their journey, the stellar conviction shuddered violently. Emergency klaxons blared as the deck tilted beneath Maya's feet. She grabbed a support beam as the ship's artificial gravity fluctuated wildly. Battle stations. Commander Seltarik's voice echoed through the communications system. Engineering reports critical failure in primary propulsion. All crew to emergency protocols. Maya fought her way to her squad's quarters, finding her team already in motion. Status report. Ship dropped out of hyperspace unexpectedly. Rage explained, steadying himself against a wall. Something hit us hard. Could be sabotage or mechanical failure. The lights flickered, then failed completely. Emergency illumination bathed the corridor in dim red light. Freedom Deck. Maya asked. Already mobilizing, Elena replied. Everyone's moving to predetermined positions. Over the past weeks, Maya's squad had prepared for various crisis scenarios, using their secret network to create emergency response plans without official authorization. What had begun as elaborate battle simulations to pass time had evolved into genuine contingency planning. As they navigated the darkened corridors, Viridian crew members rushed past in obvious panic. Unlike humans, their species hadn't evolved for crisis response. Their rigid command structure was collapsing under the unexpected disaster. Life support failing in sections 5 through 13, announced an automated voice. Atmospheric pressure dropping. That's where the majority of human quarters are located, Takashi noted grimly. Maya accessed a nearby communication terminal. This is Captain Chen to all human personnel. Implement Operation Blackout. I repeat, implement Operation Blackout. Throughout the ship, human soldiers who had spent weeks mapping alternative routes and practicing zero-gravity movements sprang into action. Teams equipped with improvised tools, fashioned during countless hours of recreational engineering, moved through maintenance tunnels toward critical systems. Maya's squad headed for the central life support hub. They encountered Velnara in a junction corridor, the scientist's copper skin pale with stress. The secondary systems aren't responding, Velnara reported. Command structure is faltering. Commander Excel Tarek ordered all science personnel to evacuation pods. We can help, Maya stated, but we need access to central controls. Velnara hesitated only briefly before handing over her authentication device. Level 6 override. It should be sufficient. With Velnara's credentials, Maya's team reached the life support center. What they found confirmed their suspicions. The system hadn't failed naturally. Specific connections had been severed with surgical precision. Sabotage, Connor confirmed, examining the damage. Rej interfaced with the system using techniques he practiced on similar subsystems in Freedom Deck. I can reroute through tertiary channels, but I need more hands. Within minutes, humans from engineering teams across the ship converged on their position, moving through the maintenance network with practiced efficiency. Equipment salvaged from their recreational projects was repurposed for emergency repairs. On the bridge, Commander Excel Tarek watched in astonishment as systems began coming back online. His security feed showed humans working in perfect coordination throughout the ship, accessing areas they shouldn't have known existed, using techniques no Viridian had taught them. Life support stabilizing, reported a Viridian officer. Atmospheric pressure normalizing in affected sections. How? Excel Tarek demanded. The humans, Commander. They're everywhere. They're fixing the ship. In the propulsion chamber, Elena led a team using climbing techniques developed for their makeshift recreation walls to reach damaged power couplings. In medical, Takashi coordinated triage using protocols practiced during simulation exercises in Freedom Deck. Throughout the vessel, humans who had spent weeks fighting boredom with increasingly elaborate projects now applied those same skills to save the ship. When Maya finally arrived on the bridge, Commander Excel Tarek regarded her with all four eyes wide, the Viridian expression of profound surprise. Your people had no authorized access to these systems, he stated. No training on these procedures. Maya met his gaze steadily. Turns out humans get creative when they're bored, Commander. Now we should discuss who might want to sabotage this mission, and why. Commander Excel Tarek's command chamber had become a crisis center. Maya stood before a holographic display of the ship, damage reports scrolling alongside repair updates. Most of those repairs were being performed by human teams, using techniques never taught in their training sessions. Your people accessed restricted areas, Excel Tarek stated. It wasn't a question. Created unauthorized tools. Intercepted classified communications. Yes, Maya replied simply, and saved your ship. The commander's four arms moved in a complex gesture she couldn't interpret. Why? Because we were bored, resourceful, and suspicious. Maya pointed to the damaged propulsion system on the display. This wasn't an accident. Someone doesn't want this ship to reach its destination. Excel Tarek's secondary arms twitched, a sign of internal conflict. After a long moment, he activated a privacy field around the chamber. What I tell you cannot leave this room, he began. The stellar conviction is not heading to combat void entities on any front. We carry a prototype weapon designed to collapse the Maral Nebula, the ancestral domain of the energy beings. We already know, Maya said. What we don't know is why you'd risk interspecies war by deploying a weapon of mass destruction. The commander's copper skin darkened with what Maya had learned with surprise. How much have you discovered? Enough to know humans are meant to be sacrificed to activate this device. Enough to know 3 other human-carrying ships have experienced accidents. Enough to know there's significant opposition within Viridian, ranks to this mission. Xel Tarek studied her with all 4 eyes. The Viridian High Command is divided. Traditionalists believe the void entities present an existential threat due to their ability to manipulate energy fields, including those that power our technology. Progressives argue for diplomatic solutions. The sabotage came from within your own ranks, Maya deduced. Yes, a faction within our fleet opposes the deployment of the stellar compression device. They believe genocide is too high a price, even for security. Xel Tarek's voice lowered. I was selected for this command because my loyalty was unquestioned. But after observing human adaptability these past months, I find myself uncertain. Maya processed this revelation, and the other human ships. Test deployments. The compression device requires precise calibration from multiple vectors. The commander's secondary arms performed a complex sequence. Regret. Humans were selected because your species shows remarkable adaptability to radiation environments that would kill Viridians. You were to man the calibration outposts. Suicide missions, Elena said from the doorway. Maya hadn't noticed her squad entering behind her. Xel Tarek didn't deny it. The High Command considered it acceptable losses for species preservation. Raj stepped forward. The void entities aren't aggressive. They reacted defensively to Viridian expansion into their territory. Our analysis of intercepted communications confirms it. They're a civilization, Connor added, not a threat. The commander's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. Consideration. Your evidence. Takashi produced a data pad containing weeks of accumulated intelligence. We've been monitoring energy patterns throughout the ship. The void entities aren't attacking your systems. They are trying to communicate. For several minutes, Xel Tarek reviewed their findings in silence. Maya watched the commander's expression shift between disbelief, concern, and finally, something resembling resolution. The ship will reach deployment coordinates in 5 days, he finally said. If what you've shown me is accurate, I cannot in good conscience deploy the device. But stopping this mission means opposing the High Command itself. You won't be alone, Maya replied. My people have made connections throughout your crew. Many Viridians share your doubts. Velnera entered the chamber, accompanied by several junior Viridian officers. She speaks truth, Commander. We stand ready to prevent this atrocity. Xel Tarek surveyed the unlikely alliance before him. Humans and Viridians united by shared principles rather than orders. We face overwhelming odds, he warned. The security protocols around the compression device are formidable. Maya exchanged glances with her squad, a slow smile forming. Commander, overwhelming odds against bored, resourceful humans isn't the deterrent you think it is. In fact, it's exactly the kind of challenge we've been preparing for. Maya stood before the assembled coalition in Freedom Deck. Humans and Viridians crowded the space, an unlikely alliance born of necessity and shared principles. The stellar compression device is housed in the central hold, she explained, pointing to a holographic display Raj had rigged from salvaged parts. 4 security checkpoints with biometric scanners, armed guards, and redundant systems. Impossible to breach directly, added Commander Seltarik, who now stood with them rather than against them. The final activation requires my authorization, but the device can be primed by secondary commanders loyal to High Command. Elena stepped forward. Then we don't go directly. We use what we've built over the past 2 months. What followed was perhaps the most unusual military briefing in either species' history. The recreational activities that had occupied bored human soldiers transformed into tactical advantages no conventional military would have conceived. Team Alpha, Connor outlined, will use the climbing techniques we developed for our rock wall to access the environmental control systems above the security stations. A group of engineers led by Raj detailed their approach. We've modified the gaming consoles we built to emit electromagnetic pulses that will disrupt scanner functions. Guards will think it's residual damage from the propulsion incident. Takashi's medical team had prepared sedatives that would work on Viridian physiology disguised in the ship's atmospheric filters. Non-lethal, short duration, derived from our recreational chemistry experiments. Most surprising to the Viridians was the role of the ship's theatrical group, humans who had spent weeks performing improvised plays to entertain their comrades. We've studied Viridian mannerisms, speech patterns, and uniform protocols, explained their leader. With minimal cosmetic adjustments, we can impersonate officers long enough to access preliminary controls. The plan incorporated every skill humans had developed to combat boredom: navigation through maintenance tunnels, improvised tool creation, communication networks, and even the card games that had taught them to predict Viridian behavioral patterns. This plan is unorthodox, Seltarik observed, all 4 eyes blinking in sequence. That's exactly why it will work, Maya replied. Your security was designed to stop conventional military approaches, not creative chaos. As the Stellar Conviction approached the deployment coordinates, Operation Creative Chaos began. Environmental teams accessed control junctions through routes mapped during weeks of exploration. Technical specialists deployed homemade disruptors built from entertainment devices. The theatrical group moved through corridors with the confident stride of Viridian officers, their borrowed uniforms adjusted to accommodate human physiology. Meanwhile, Elena led a direct action team through the most unlikely access point, the waste reclamation system that humans had extensively mapped while searching for materials for their recreational projects. From the bridge, Maya and Seltarik monitored the operation while maintaining the appearance of normal functions. When loyal officers reported communication disruptions, the commander calmly attributed them to ongoing repairs. Security Checkpoint 1 compromised, reported Connor through their covert communication network. Team proceeding to Level 2. Diversion team in position, added another voice. Atmospheric sedation deployed in security barracks. Not everything went according to plan. An alert security officer detected unusual movement patterns and triggered a partial lockdown. The humans adapted instantly, switching to contingency plans developed during late-night strategy games in Freedom Deck. Improvising new approach through Maintenance Shaft 37B, Elena reported calmly, resistance heavier than expected, but nothing we can't handle. In the central control room, Loyalist officers grew suspicious of the mounting anomalies. Commander, I recommend ship-wide security protocols, urged the security chief. Unnecessary, Seltarik replied smoothly. Focus resources on protecting the device. The chief narrowed his 4 eyes. Commander, I believe we may have human infiltration of our systems. Of course we do. Seltarik responded with unexpected candor. And I believe we're about to witness something extraordinary. At that moment, every screen on the bridge switched to a single message. Device secured. Maya allowed herself a small smile. It seems bored human soldiers have taken control of your superweapon, Chief. Perhaps we should discuss more constructive uses for it. The observation deck of the Stellar Conviction offered a panoramic view of the Marl Nebula. Swirling clouds of cosmic dust shimmered with bioluminescent patterns, the visible manifestation of the void entities. What the Viridian High Command had classified as a threat, Maya now recognized as a form of communication. They're responding to our signal, Velnara explained, monitoring energy patterns on a modified sensor array. The equipment had been rebuilt by human engineers using components originally meant for recreational devices. 3 days had passed since Operation Creative Chaos successfully secured the stellar compression device. The ship now held position at the nebula's edge, attempting communication rather than destruction. Commander Xel Tarek entered the observation deck, accompanied by a delegation of senior officers who had joined their cause. The High Command vessel will arrive within 24 hours. They expect deployment confirmation, not negotiation. Then we need to establish contact before they arrive, Maya replied. She turned to Raj, who led the communication effort. We've reproposed the compression device's energy modulators, he explained. Instead of a weapon, it's now essentially a giant transmitter calibrated to the void entity's energy frequency. The modified device activated, sending carefully structured energy pulses into the nebula. The humans had designed the communication pattern based on mathematical sequences, universal constants that any advanced intelligence should recognize. For several tense hours, nothing happened. Then the nebula's illumination shifted, patterns forming and reforming in what could only be a deliberate response. They're answering, Velnara whispered, 4 eyes wide with wonder. A translation algorithm, developed jointly by human linguists and Viridian scientists, began interpreting the energy patterns. Rudimentary concepts emerged: curiosity, caution, memory of past aggression. Through painstaking exchanges, a breakthrough came just hours before the High Command's arrival. The void entities weren't merely defending territory, they were protecting something at the nebula's heart. A nexus of interdimensional energy they called the confluence, a cosmic phenomenon central to their existence. The expansion would have destroyed it, Xel Tarek realized. They weren't attacking our technology, they were preventing damage to the confluence. When the High Command vessel emerged from hyperspace, they found not a weapon deployment, but a diplomatic summit. Commander Xel Tarek stood flanked by Maya and representatives from both species, presenting evidence of a profound misunderstanding between civilizations. This is treason, declared High Commander Zelvorik, rage evident in his stance. This is progress, Xel Tarek countered, gesturing to the nebula where void entity representatives had manifested as swirling energy constructs. They offer cooperation. The confluence they protect could revolutionize